Hey, welcome back to Of the Devil. Cheesy here. Last where we left off, we were just looking at some evidence, and now we're staring at a dead body. We're not exactly. We're looking at some kind of hologram of a dead body. I don't know. It's virtual space. It doesn't matter. Anyways, we're figuring things out. Getting suspicious of Huey Boy. His blood was found on our cool knife that we made Sarah lick, which, you know, it was a good move. I mean, it was gross for Sarah. Anyways, let's continue where we left off. So this is where they found Creek's body. He was the only one who didn't die instantly, if anyone had a chance to use a silent alarm. No. Must have been paralyzed in between the time he was shot and his actual expiration. Honestly, the silent alarm might have been the mask we stole. At least I'm thinking. They weren't paralyzed. What do you mean? If they had been paralyzed, Yumi would have noted that in her autopsy. That's true. But he just sat there limp the whole time. Didn't even try to move. He was playing dead, letting me think he couldn't move so I wouldn't notice his... Was anything found in his hands? Anything at all? It doesn't seem like it. They were holding something by the time their body got to the morgue. If he had been holding something, but dropped it when he died... Help me look. For what? Anything small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Hang on. What's this? What was that? Did you just jump? I was merely surprised by that sound, Adonai. What sound? I just brushed against this. Oh, the button. This little toy thing. Can you hear it? I can, and it is not exactly pleasant on the ears. Could any android hear it, or is this some special feature David gave you? I'd imagine any android or robot or electronic device with modern features could pick up on this tone. Maybe I should close the window before I test it anymore and stop torturing all the dogs in the neighborhood. Closing the window would not matter. It's soundproof, though. But the specific frequency of this tone is not in your audible spectrum to begin with. Right. But do you really think Creek was toying with that nuisance maker in their final moments? I'm pretty sure that's the silent alarm. We did it, gang. We figured it out. We figured out the silent alarm. We didn't even have to look at where Huey was. Or, not Huey. Is this Sosuke? Is this him? Chillin'? Our client Sosuke, according to Rogers, this is how he found him. Thrusting the sword into Chopin. Or merely trying to retrieve it. Not a huge improvement there. He really was found in a terrible state, wasn't he? And that was before the police gave him his cop killer welcoming and... Sarah, bring up the medical files on Sosuke. I want to go over everything we know about how he looked when Rogers arrested him. What specifically? Oh, that's a good question, actually. Because, like, if I were to look at... What is it? Sosuke? No, Sosuke's sword. Where's Kodo's testimony? Magus. Front door escape. Dark card. Creek's notes. It's not what I want. Dre's autopsy. Needles. My knife. Vault door. No, we don't have that. I thought we would have his, like, state of being. Alright, well, I guess it's not there besides Sosuke's sword. Yeah, windows. We got the fun door that we don't know about. There's the knife. Needles. That's cool. The needles were found contained. Yeah. Whistle. Weird whistle thing. That's fun. I love a weird whistle thing. Let's see. Door, broken bat, things autopsy. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. I don't know what I'm doing. Blood analysis or wound patterns? Let's look at the wound pattern. How exactly was he injured? His left hand was broken. He had internal bleeding throughout his torso, bruising and rope burns on his wrists where he was bound, contusions all over the interior side of his body, and he also sustained a large blunt force trauma wound to the back of the head. His biggest wound was to the back of the head. I guess if he fell backwards to the ground. There is also a small cut on his left hand. How small? If he cut himself in the kitchen, as if he cut himself in the kitchen. Wasn't expecting a metaphor there, but it's effective enough. Let's see that blood analysis. It was covered in blood, right? Were samples taken for analysis? The blood on his torso and head was all on his own. All his own. He got some of Chopin's blood on him while he was face down, being cuffed by Officer Rogers. And he also had a great deal of Trey's blood on his feet and pant leg. Any other questions about our client's arrest, Adonai? Not unless there are some crime scene photos you've been holding out on me. I'm afraid not. How is it that I'm the only one who made an effort to preserve the crime scene? You know, that is surprising. Oh, look at our boy, whatever his name was, Tank. Come on, Tank Top. Anchor Tan. Supposedly, he was the first to die. Oh, supposedly she was the first to die. Logically, he had to have been. He's the one who had the gun, and if an attacker got it away from him, they must have done so first. Yes, I can see that the gun is registered to him. Right. Registered. Who the hell would look at this guy with that gun and just nod him along? Patrol officers TC and HR 1 week ago. TC and HR? Huey Rogers and Tarek Chopin? Oh. I didn't realize Morgan was actually saying their names. I was just like, TC and HR's, it's their names, right? The badge numbers match. It seems like they detained Anchor Tan briefly during a stop and frisk and found his gun on him, this gun on him. Finding a gun like this on anyone with priors during a stop and frisk, for the very minimum, that's grounds for 28 days detainment. Why'd they just let him go? Is it possible that he was a criminal informant? If he was a CI, they wouldn't have even logged the incident. And besides, patrol officers don't have their own CIs. Then perhaps they let him go for some other reason? Because they already gotten what they wanted from him? Make sure to copy the file of that stop and frisk report right away. Magus. Is that it? Is that all we have left? What else do we have? Oh. Aw, boy. It's our boy, Tarek Chopin. Red Ink Protocol. Designed to make data difficult to physically redistribute. I guess not Chopin. It's just his body. Couldn't anyone just take out their phone and snap a picture of the pages? It seems that some of the responding officers attempted to. The arcs show that they failed. That's some fancy ink. What do you see when you look at the pages then? No more detail than you do, I'm afraid. It's strange, isn't it? They went to such lengths to protect this information. And yet these papers were left out where Officer Chopin or anyone could read them. They weren't left there by Creek. I took the documents out of his safe so I could reach the mask. And I must have left them out on the desk afterwards. Sorry, I coughed. Damn. That about wraps it up here. Yay! Hey, Han. Miss Han, since Cyanus is technically in charge of securing the crime scene, what should we do with this? Do with what? Oh shit. Adonai, please refrain from pressing that button any more than necessary. Sorry, Sarah. I can see you don't like it. But Miss Han's phone doesn't seem to like it either. It's just Han. And I don't know what you're talking about. I get messages all the time. Han, ma'am, if you could please just admit it so she'd stop pressing that. Fine, whatever. Yes, you found one of our alarms. Pretty clever system. Not really, it's just an app. You set the frequency and get a notif if the app picks it up. The range? A couple of kilometers. Thanks for clearing that up. Well, I have you here, though. Exactly how fast did you show up to the scene of the crime? Pardon? This is a blue blood neighborhood. Do you really expect people to believe the cops lumbered their way here faster than any of you could? What exactly are you trying to say? Yeah, I'm tuned to that frequency. But I'm tuned to a lot of frequencies. It's a good way of communicating without the Megs or the pigs listening in. So you didn't get this alarm the night of the incident? Didn't even know it went off that night. Got proof it did? Can you explain how else Officer Chopin could have gotten here? Nah, not my job to, either. Is it your job to come to a fellow Blue Blood's aid when they're desperately calling for help? I didn't know Creek like that. I didn't say Creek was the one who had this. I saw where you were poking around, and they're the head of the pod, I assumed. Creek's a stranger to me. Even though you're both young bloods. What? I'm guessing that's what the tattoo means. Neither of you make much of an effort to hide it. It is plainly visible, even in their autopsy photos. You have no idea what this ink means. Would you tell us what it means? Blood bag. What? The Oldguard use you as donors. Gangsters live a life of drugs, smoking, drinking, and back alley mods. Then end up with livers and kidneys that look like charred steak. Who could have guessed? Got no children because the Ikaria killed them all. Can't get on the donor list because they're geriatric, reviled crime lords. So what do? Hey kid, wanna be a gangster? Let me see if you got what it takes. Hold still while I prick your finger. They tattooed our torsos, because even if you mod off all 4 limbs, you still pump clean plasma. Every drop an indicator of quality. I'm a universal donor, so I've got 3. AAA graded, just like meat. Ew. And Creek? Save it for the trial, lady. Oh. Are we done here, you think? Not quite. Ooh, we got more investigating. Party time. Emma's argument is that Sosuke didn't escape from here. He was brought out into the other room to be questioned, and then he broke free. I know that's not true. Sosuke would have been stuck here until the police arrived if I hadn't handed him to the Magus to, well, frame him. And the knife, also to frame him. But secondarily, so that he could cut himself free from his bindings. Those bloody rags there. Remember what Sosuke told us when we first met? That he was bound in here the whole time until his bad Samaritan came along? And gave him a knife. Oh, and gave him a knife. Now we know what knife he was talking about. And now I want to know whose blood this is. The blood on the bindings? It would have to belong to Sosuke, wouldn't it? All the other bodily fluids in this room do. Probably. But I need to know. Lick it. Lick it. Lick it. You have to lick it, Sarah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah. You've already done it once. What's one more time? One more time will surely make me sick. Please, Adonai, let us ask one of the sinus employees on standby to analyze it. They have a record for a very fast turnaround on DNA tests, I promise. I can show you customer reviews. That's right, Sinus does DNA testing. Typically, paternity tests as part of their private investigative services. And they have been assisting the police with DNA analysis around the scene. I will flag the bindings to be analyzed. Wait. I have already made the request, Adonai. If you insist on making me test the bindings myself now, you'll only be upsetting my stomach to satisfy your own impatience. Fine. I'm gonna cite this incident the next time we discuss a raise. Aww, Sarah. I'm so sad for her. Really is a shithole in here, Really is a shithole in here, though, huh? I agree with your sentiment, if not your choice of words. It feels like a cruel place. Yeah. Sounds pretty cruel. What is it? Was there something we missed in here, Adonai? No, not in here. The windows. They were closed when Creek was shot. Still closed when Chopin Rogers arrived on site. But they were open by the time Rogers got to this room. I used that contradiction to argue for the presence of a third party. Because someone must have opened them to go down the fire escape. And then what? They must have dropped down to the alley and ran away, right? Yeah, that's one option. What's the other? Would it kill them to do some sweeping around here? I guess that would be contaminating the crime scene at this point. But what the hell do all these cops and sinus chumps actually do? Lean on walls and screw around on their phones? I think you're being a bit harsh in your assessment. But you aren't alone in your criticism. Detective Reyes had much to say about how sinus employees were not wearing gloves and knocking over trash. If they had picked up trash, that'd be removing evidence. The arcs would light up. The arcs would light up. Adding trash, though. Adonai, help me look through this. Garbage again? Already? Just start looking. If any of it requires DNA analysis... Don't worry, Sarah, you won't have to lick it. Maybe not. Wait. There. Red. I don't smell any blood. Not blood. Ink. A torn page of the red ink documents with what looks like a shoe print on it. Shall we try and match it to the samples? To samples. Good luck. Cops and security types all wear the same kinds of boots. On top of which, 99 out of 100 shoes in the city are made by the same two Megs. But if the print isn't useful, that just leaves the actual text, and that... Looks like the letters were all run through the wash a couple of dozen too many times. Well, it isn't particularly informative, and I don't understand exactly how this clue fits in with everything else we've seen. But doesn't this seem important? How could it have been lying here, neglected this whole time? Nah, princess, I'll have to call you right back. Of course, wouldn't dream of it. Come on, you know me. What'd you find in there? More dead men's garbage? Keep it up and you girls are gonna make me look bad. Happy to be of assistance. So, would you like to add to this to the arcs, or should I? Well, seems like you've got momentum going, so please don't let me get in your way. You don't wear gloves on the job, Miss Han? It's just Han, but you already know that. You probably also know they don't really make them in my size. So if we found your fingerprints in here, on those windows, or even upstairs? Aw man, I'd be pretty embarrassed. We almost always get rated 5 stars. So, did you need me to walk you out? I'll be fine, thanks. Suit yourself. Just be careful you don't get lost. Sun'll be going down soon. It can be hard to find your way back in the dark. Yeah, okay. This idea is starting to look like a pretty safe bet. Your theory that Chopin was assassinated as an attack on the Oldguard? But how can we confirm it? We still haven't met anyone from the Oldguard. Though, even if we had, it occurs to me they would be reluctant to speak with Sosuke Ikaria's legal team. Don't be so pessimistic. The enemy of my enemy is usually willing to at least talk. And talk is where I do all my best work. Where do we look, then? You still got the address boss gave us? No. Yes. It's true, we got an address. Oh yeah, the cool little... What was it, like... One of those, hostess clubs? Hey there, tall, red, and mysterious. Ladies, come. Oh, come in. Don't be shy. Let me guide you to a booth. Local host. Should we take a seat for now? With a taste as expensive as yours? Well, with taste. If you get near a menu, these people will drain my checking account on overpriced champagne faster than I can blink. Oh, champagne! As much as you'd like. This is gonna derail fast if I don't find a way to shut it down. A surefire way to get exactly the right kind of attention and douse their salesmanship in one go. I need to go with that. Hey, please don't frown. A smile would suit your pretty face much. I need to speak with your manager. What happened? They're all walking away. Hey, Mama. Yeah, There's some kind of, I don't know, accountant or whatever here to talk to you. The voice on the other end of his earpiece grumbles a response. A cranky one, judging by his reaction. Mama will be out in a second. You're expected to buy something in the meantime. You got tap water? You don't want to drink the tap water in this district. Soda water. It's all overpriced, lady. Might as well get something you'll enjoy. I thought my first visit to a host club would be more celebratory than this. How much thought have you given the subject? I would give that thought too, you know. Not wrong. What kind of light reading gets tossed around at a club like this? Probably something along the lines of, I spent every night at a host club for 1 year. Here's what the staff taught me about emotional workloads in a corporate setting. Oh wait, this actually looks somewhat interesting. Fungus stimmies, bamboo, stokes unrest. Fungus stimmies, okay. Less than ideal rainfall patterns, met with greater than usual saltwater flooding, had already left many of the tropically centered macro farms that produce most of the world's bamboo struggling to meet demand. Now, with increasingly widespread reports of fungal infections, tensions are beginning to rise in this region as its large migrant worker population is faced with the possibility of one of the worst quarters on record. Bamboo is a highly versatile crop, cultivated successfully for thousands of years on all 7 continents, if one counts the agricultural science labs on the Antarctic Peninsula. But in recent decades, advances in agricultural genetics and greater restrictions on the lumber industry's woodcutting activity have led to bamboo becoming a premier organic manufacturing and construction material for much of the world, especially in impoverished regions that often lack the machinery required to process advanced synthetic equivalents. The hardy plant can grow in a wild variety of environments and humidity levels, and has been considered an aggressive invasive species at times. But modern genetically modified monocultures are tailored to grow specifically in a small number of tropic and subtropic biomes, intended to provide a stable cash crop for regions that have historically struggled to farm soy, sugar, or wheat. But in a delicate balancing act between tuning a cultivar to a target environment and rendering it unviable in the wild, and years like this one can put that vulnerability on full display. The fungus practically chews through the groves. You can see it growing with the naked eye, said one worker who requested anonymity due to concerns over their citizenship status. The company tells us to just burn it all, but it's too damp for anything to catch fire. Bamboo is hard to burn, so they want us using this incendiary stuff, and they won't pay us to have masks. Well, that sucks. Data on the efficacy of burn pits in combating the spread of the fungus is limited, but most corporate officials agree that the risk of inhalation among personnel is low and masks are an unnecessary measure. You sure about that? Some of the migrant worker population, however, is arguing that the hesitancy to provide masks is more politically motivated. Plotters' rebellion was decades ago, but the gas mask is still a powerful symbol even today. Back then, workers went on strike because the conditions growing mushrooms in the fungal plots were so unbearable. Now this fungus is cutting into the profits again. You've got a lot of workers dependent on the industry, and a lot of young people who could easily be out of work. I'd be surprised if they weren't getting nervous. It is true that the region is home to a disproportionately young population, as many international trade schools have flocked to tropical climates in an attempt to attract students with promises of low-cost living and a vacation-like idyllic conditions. And though education lies firmly in the realm of corporate authority, Government officials are also keenly aware of the risks and challenges associated with such large student population. Ramsey syndrome remains a serious concern among blah, 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 blah. We're having difficulty authenticating your identity. Yes, yes. That's interesting, though. So bamboo is being used a lot, and now there's a fungus destroying all the bamboo. That's pretty bad. And everyone has gas mask stuff. Not the reading material expected to find here. But judging from the article, the Megs are getting concerned about growing unrest. Yeah, they're kind of concerned about that shit. The fungus is a problem, sure, but they've engineered their crops around problems like it 100 times before. Easier to update the monoculture genetics than your entire global economic model. The Megs are probably more concerned about all the young people getting agitated about their job security. The warmer the waters, the bigger the storms they brew. Yeah, I understood reading. Advance? No, I'm observing. Bad enough that I'm walking into the lion's den here, stepping even further into the blue blood territory to defend an Ikaria assassin. Do I really have to wait for the shoe to drop in a place this sleazy too? Are you perhaps not enjoying yourself, Adonai? You're getting better at picking up on that. You are frowning quite openly. Are we in danger of getting arrested here? There's nothing illegal about a host club. So are you just uncomfortable then? Unamused. Well, we are in blue blood territory. Ooh. Have you ever been to an establishment like this before? No. Not even when you were apprenticing. There may have been certain work parties where attendance was strongly encouraged, but I'd never set foot within a kilometer of a place like this otherwise. I suppose if you have had a hard spending limit, there's only so much you can enjoy, and it's not a matter of cost. It's a matter of taste. Surely everyone enjoys being paid attention, no? It's flattering. Not everyone takes to being complimented. I agree, Morgan. We're both psychos. I see. So you respond more to being challenged? What do you think? The answer is yes. Perhaps not. No, it's true. We have a thing with Emma. She goes around and she's like, I'm going to beat you. And we answer back every time. I'm going to order. Do you think they were being literal when they said you were expecting to make a purchase? Probably. Doesn't mean I'll oblige them. Though it's not like spending money here will make them less likely to cooperate. I would offer some suggestions based on customer reviews and price points, but for some reason, I don't see prices listed on any of the items on their menu. Was a mistake made when formatting the idea? I really hate this place. Not beer. That seems wrong. We're not really a wine girl. We did mention champagne before. Hey, it's not my money. What the hell. Hey, Pomme d'Orignon, pour out a tower for all I care. Suddenly, as I've uttered a magic phrase or a sleeper cell kill switch, all eyes of staff around the room dart to me. With a jolt of energy, the bartender jumps up to ring a bell above the counter. Pomme D Tower. The staff begins and suddenly chipper chant, Tower, tower, tower. I'm not sure Sarah's eyes can get any wider. Let's take a commemorative photo, madam. Where would you like to sit? Who's the smallest spender in here? What? Well, I mean, we don't really keep track of that sort of... His eyes wandered, losing sight. Losing light all the while until they settled into a glassy-eyed, pitying stare at an overworked, young-looking man in a small table, adjusting his tie, while the girl next to him makes no effort to hide her boredom. Send it over to him, king for a day. With the same nervous smile he used to shake hands with the suicide bomber, the bartender redirects the oncoming parade towards my designated lucky loser. He looks terrified. Money well spent. You just gave the tower away? I've got shit to do. I can't drink all of that. I could have, perhaps, helped. But even so, after you paid all that money just to pass it along to some stranger, are you some kind of saint? Oh, I'm not paying for that. Makoto's getting this bill. Your client? File it under investigative expenses. That's not exactly inaccurate, but what's he gonna do? Kill me? Given his position in the house and his age, it would be more likely that he'd have you killed. Mama on deck! The big cheese. What exactly are you expecting? With a title like Mama, I would expect a stern but fair, nurturing figure who... What the hell do you want? Is that the kind of treatment one should expect at this establishment after purchasing a champagne tower? That was you? Well, shit. You clearly need information on a lot more than I thought. The Korea must be giving you the mushroom treatment. Keep them in the dark and feed them shit. Yes, yes. I've heard it all, the lawyer jokes. Now, can we talk, or should I get on the phone and claim that my credit card's been stolen? You bought a champagne tower. We can talk all goddamn night if you want. Introductions, then. I'm Morgan, Esquire, criminal defense attorney representing Sosuke Ikaria. With a glowing green toaster as your +1. Couldn't have put it better myself, Miss Kim Hana, small business owner. Oh. One of the more influential members of the Blue Blood Oldguard, I take it. The Oldguard are the only Blue Bloods that have any influence at all. First gens and young bloods should count themselves lucky to be middle management. Should you really be calling them young bloods? Oh, now the neon robot's gonna preach to us all about political correctness. Really, madam? I know PC. My gen invented PC. We've got PC coming out of our ears. So I mean it when I say young blood is a term of endearment. Well then, I won't hesitate to use it. To their face? Better not. They knock your teeth out. How about a trade, Miss Kim? Missus, you're talking to a widow. One who doesn't need anything from you. Not the best position to start bargaining from. We're trading information. If you think I can't give you anything, you're not thinking very hard. Oh yeah, what do you think you got? Something I can tell her that she doesn't already know? No, not the little lord. This was sent by the Oldguard, right? Bresson? I don't think they give a shit about Creek's killer. I think it's Sosuke. I can tell you what happened at the courthouse today. Oh. If something worth knowing had happened, it'd be in the news by now. There is currently a blackout on media coverage of today's events. There are always leaks. Finding one will take time. I can give you a first-hand account right now. Let's hear it. Ernesto. Bresson. What a goddamn idiot. Completely useless. He did manage to infiltrate an entire courtroom full of police officers, even knowing he wouldn't make it out alive. Oh, that was Sarah. And he still failed to hit the easiest shot of his life. But Bresson's just an incompetent addict. The useless idiot is the one who sent him there. Not you, I take it. Oldguard sounds like it moves slow and wise, but we've got our fair share of hot-headed dumbasses too. Impatient, hot-headed dumbasses. Time is money. My turn to ask a question. Money. Is that why you've been going after Makoto? Trying to drum up a king's ransom because you can't go to war without a war chest? Who says we're at war? Who says we're in any rush? Our plans are measured in decades, you little shit. No, time isn't on your side right now. Right now, more than anything, you need money. Says who? You? Says the headlines. Time's running out before you miss the bus on. Nirvana. It's Nirvana, right? Yeah, because like Prop 492, that whatever. Not workers. It's the drugs. Nirvana. Everyone in the capital knows it'll be legalized before the end of the year. Ugh, party drug. Dumb money. Yes, dumb money. Best kind of money there is. And you could rake it in by the truckload. If you had the starting capital to build a dispensary network beforehand. As things stand, the gray wave is gonna roll your hard work up in a ball and hand it off gently to the Megs. And the Ikaria. You've been losing this game to them for 3 decades straight, but I can see you still haven't gotten used to it. Of course not. Who the hell just roll over for those upstart bootlicking? That goddamn fox smirking behind his perfumed incenses and painted screens and sheets of gold leaf. Should have cut out his eyes when I had the chance. I'm acquainted with the Hound. Who's the fox? Should we conduct a survey of all the IFG members' back tattoos? The fox, the kitsune, goddamn Daisuke Ikaria, of course. The family's patriarch. Haven't had the chance to meet him in person. Ha! Knew there had to be a reason an Ikaria lawyer didn't already stink of cigar smoke. Adonai does smoke, despite my repeated warnings about the health hazards. Have you had your olfactory checkup lately? Loss of smell can be the first sign of... I don't stink, that's the takeaway. Now admit it. You want to capture Makoto Ikaria so you can afford to ride Nirvana to legitimacy. I don't want to capture Makoto Ikaria. You know our history. In brief. So what part of that summary made you think that if I had the chance to end the Ikarian line, I wouldn't take it immediately? Are you speaking for yourself or for the whole Oldguard? Nah, my turn to ask. Is the Hound gonna make it? You asking about my legal defense strategy? His injuries. Any chance he's gonna keel over from an infection after Creek's pod worked him over? Did Bresson somehow manage to nick him? He is still recovering from the injuries he sustained from when captured. But he was not harmed during the incident in the courtroom today. Yeah, Bresson didn't even manage a scratch. Not a scratch, huh? Did he even get a shot off? A detective on the scene responded before he could. A detective? Yes, why? Bah, not wasting a question on him, of all people. Speaking of which, the bottle spun back around. Are the Blue Bloods working with Chopin family to profit off Proposition 492? Ha! You missed that one. Try another. What do you mean? You think Mr. and Mr. Chopin are working hand in hand with us for a little cross-class embezzling? Those rich pricks wouldn't piss on us if we were on fire and the feeling's mutual. But they're backing Proposition 492. If you could buy the land they need before the city knows that it needs it, the Chopin family aren't your collaborators. They're your marks. Bingo, kid gets a prize. Or they were. The plan's worthless now. That whole courtroom heard me explain how Creek had red ink documents on Proposition 492. Whatever blueprints, whatever land the city had in mind, they'll change all of it. Thanks for that, by the way. Don't blame me. Your plan was always fragile. It was destined to collapse the moment that anyone with more pull than a ticketing officer heard that Blue Bloods had eyes on the real estate. Meaning the Blue Bloods would kill to keep those documents from circulating. Yeah, well, that's just how it goes for Plan Bs. Plan B? Now answer me this. What did you see on those red ink docs that tipped our hand about Prop 492? Well, it was mentioned in abbreviation, if not in name. P492 was a pretty big giveaway. You must have had more to go on that. Names, diagrams. I saw Councilman Long's name on there. Ha, Long, that sloppy bastard. Wait, you didn't know what was on those papers? Not exactly. You didn't know where Prop 492 leaked from? What are you saying? It leaked from that brat Creek, obviously. Red ink means it was printed off somewhere you trust, in a place run by people you trusted. And it doesn't sound like you trusted Creek. Are these your questions? Because they're terrible. And pointless. Blondie's already dead. So Chopin wasn't in on the plan. What possibilities are left then? Might as well try asking while I have the chance. My client overheard something interesting during his captivity. Talk of the Blue Bloods bringing in a huntsman. Fake. And you don't even know what that means. Your client heard wrong, and you're a fool for believing him without any proof. Sorry, I guess he misheard. He must have also misheard that you brought a no mask into the city. Did Sosuke mention that? It's called a bluff, Sarah. Yeah, he must have been delirious. After all, if there had been a no mask in the crime scene, it would have turned up during the police investigation. Huntsman. Ridiculous. Maybe he's real, maybe he's fake. Maybe he's already behind you. Phantoms like that get their power from uncertainty. If I answered your question at all, that'd be your answer. Schrodinger's box is already open, though, and the mask isn't there anymore. If it's not in the hands of the huntsman, then who has it? A dead man. Who just doesn't know it yet. Final round. But what if we still want to ask? Our house, my rules. Who hired you? Why would you spend her final question on that? It was Makoto, huh? I mean, it was Makoto. It's not House Ikaria. Makoto Ikaria, if that wasn't already clear. Uh-huh. You some no-name nobody with no connection to any of the families. The preteen hare looked you up and hired you to defend his hound. Either you're dumber than you look or just less curious than a lobotomite. But either way, you really don't know the answer, do you? No, I don't, which I can freely admit. So why does having it pointed out to me feel like such a defeat? Come to think of it, I have one last question myself. That ain't the deal. And it can be rhetorical. What are you going to do? You lost all your heirs during the fall of the leaves. Adonai, you're reviled by the international blue bloods for locking your treasure behind GFA you can't crack. Now all of your Oldguard needs transplants and transfusions from the first and second gens just to stay alive. And they won't be glad to keep that up forever. Eventually you, all of you, will die. Will you rest in peace knowing everything you ever managed to build will be laundered at what, 30%? 40%? 35% just to end up in the hands of some punks you tutored? What a nice young girl you are, worrying about your elders. Well, don't worry your pretty little head over, dear. Sweet granny here. 'Cause she's a mean old bitch in a line of work where anyone stupid dies off young. She and hers are gonna be just fine. Don't forget to close your tab before you go. Did you get any useful information from your rhetorical questions, Adonai? The question irritated her, but it didn't make her despair. I may have misread this. The Oldguard have a way forward. Proposition 492 is no longer an option, leaving them with Plan A. The little lord, but Tariq Chopin is dead. Yeah, he is. Huh. Do they need his body? How dare they? After all they put him through down there in that festering hole of a city district. To try and kill Sosuke in the courtroom of all places. The nerve of those blue blood scum. Okay. If we just wait for him to stop, we'll be standing here until morning. So, should we speak up? I don't know. I'm terrible with children. Listen, just keep nodding, and if he calms down enough to ask a non-rhetorical question, get my attention. What are you going to do? Try consulting an expert. What do kids your age like? Not my B-day. I'm not asking for you. And I'm not a kid. So I wouldn't know. If it's for Sarah, I'm not a robot either. What would someone younger than you like? I don't know. Even one grade below me? Their sense of humor is impenetrable. Other day, the school announced they're gonna be doing test prep at every grade level. And the top comment, before it got deleted, was a picture of a fish with boots. And the caption was, battering me and frying me in oil for 4 minutes on each side. It's not that impenetrable. It's a very basic non sequitur. How is this for a non sequitur? Go ask someone else. All you did there was get back on topic. Why are you even asking? I've been hired by a youth. And I need to interrupt their temper tantrum. Well, what do you want me to do from here? Hack them some fork knife butts? Fork knife. What is that? Would that work? Also, what do you mean a youth hired you? Oh, so they must be like rich? Yes. I'm like the worst to ask for advice then. What do I know about rich kids? Your academy is full of them. Why do you think I do as much of my schoolwork as possible from my dorm? Don't you have at least a roommate? Nope. Never got assigned one. Guess there was some kind of unavoidable computer error on their end. This is hopeless. You're usually good at gift giving and shit. Buttering up judges, grabbing court officials, slipping coins into Vizier's purses. Oh, Vizier's? Well, I don't know what that is. You have a very antiquated view of what my work entails. Medieval, in fact. I heard he passed. Did you know him? This is actually really funny. Whatever photo that is, failed to send. Good. GDI. I don't know that. Ugh. I mean, what would you do if they were a rich adult? Flatter them or whatever? Rich adults are used to people wanting their money. Flattery puts them on guard. So what's the approach? You approach them as though you already work for them. Pretend you're a butler. Yeah, it's true. Acting on wordless commands they've given without an original thought in your head. They aren't suspicious of anyone they feel like they already own. Hey, smart. That mostly makes sense. So do that. They've probably got more in common with a rich adult than kids their own age. Or, you know, anyone else with a soul. Unless there's some reason you can't do your iconic butler technique here. Because I don't want to act subservient to a child. Sosuke did strain himself slightly when he tried to tackle me to the ground, but that was the extent of it. Yes, as my ADD says, no one was hurt. Well, the attacker was part of an officer-involved shooting, but no one else was hurt. Oh, well, then perhaps we should just forgive all and make peace. Those fools will regret their actions. The anger of the house, once roused, is not easily satisfied. Shit, I thought there was a lull, but he's ready to start back up again. As Sun Tzu says, if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Well, yes, but please calm yourself, Makoto of House Ikaria. We need to speak with you. About what? About Sosuke. You think he's done something to deserve this? That's not what There's nothing Sosuke could have done to justify the Blue Bloods have put him through. Justify what the Blue Bloods have put him through. I assumed as much, but Makoto has no idea what the Hound of Ikaria was doing up until a year ago, does he? These questions are foolish. I'll not waste my time. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. Quote the Bhagavad Gita all you want, robot girl. It is not impressive for a machine to... Bruce Lee said that. Well, it was probably paraphrasing at the time. Will you help us or not, Makoto? Please. If it's for Sosuke, enough. Electric blue irises flash in a deadly glare. Oh. The room shadows seem to extend in his presence, curling and deepening like ink dropped into water. That's a gangster. Chairman. That's your dad. All of you, show some respect now. He says it out of practice without actually looking around the room. One glance would have shown him there was no need to demand respect. Every head was already bowed. This is a man who is used to others not meeting his eyes. The rest of you, get lost. It's the fox. Their practiced obedience didn't betray them. They all slipped away into the halls of the complex without so much as a creak on the floorboards. And even so, their anxiety was screaming at me, like a bad tell begging to be taken advantage of. His presence here today was not expected. Now then. Come here, Makoto-tan. Grandpa. How are things on the front lines, huh? Makoto is the heir, so the chairman is his grandfather, of course, but... A little warlord making his enemies tremble with fear every time he sets foot out the door. I was not expecting the head of the House of Nobility to be so... affectionate. I thought you and Father were still in the capital. Well, we were. And we made a lot of powerful people in that city very frustrated while we were at it. And made a lot of frustrating people very powerful, I'm sure. I wish I had seen their dumb faces solemnly nodding when I canceled my meetings. Just to fly home and see my grandson. Ahem. Chairman, apologies for the lack of introduction. This is... I know exactly who she is. She's our lawyer. Any good? She is not entirely incompetent. I would hope that he could say more than that. And she is also somewhat perceptive, Chairman. Knows when to keep her mouth shut. Clearly. How bad can she be? Her methods are odd. She came here to ask me about Sosuke for some reason. Not another word. Chairman, back in the storehouse on the second floor, there's a cask of sake that I won in a drinking game suppose it's been 6 years ago now. Would you go and fetch it for your grandfather? Of course, but... Old trick of the trade. One sip and anything we tell her becomes inadmissible in court. I see. Very clever, Chairman. Makoto is allowed to drink sake. The hell's wrong with you? Of course you can't drink. It's the ceremony of it all, damn it. Understood. I'll go retrieve it right away. Have one of those layabouts that were in here fetch you a ladder first. Make them earn their keep for once. Put on a suit and a pair of glasses. Think you can just stand there for the rest of your career, you lazy. Read your damn emails if you got nothing better to do. Should we be seated a certain way for... There is no cask of sake. Oh. But then the strategy of becoming intoxicated in order to void... I made that up. You're the lawyer. There any truth to what I said? No need for tricks like that. Attorney-client privilege already binds my hands. I'm working for House Ikaria right now, Sarah. I mean, hell, Makoto could confess to me he's a mass murderer and I wouldn't be able to tell a soul. So then why did you send Makoto away, Mr. Chairman, sir? I want to walk the gardens. Are we supposed to follow him? You left that part unsaid. How can you tell? Hey, quick strategy meeting. You know what a butler is, right? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm glad you have such an appreciation for attorney-client privileges, sir. It makes these conversations go much smoother. But if you trust privileges so much, why don't you trust your grandson to be here? Don't kid yourself, Copper. That boy is the future of this family. If I didn't trust him, there would be no point to any of this. Everything I've built. Dynasties aren't dynasties unless you manage to actually pass them down. What you've built in the last 30 years is undeniably impressive. It must have required astonishing brutality. Progress is brutality. And history is unkind to those gentle. Is that why you orchestrated the fall of the leaves, to get your name in the history books? Orchestrated. So grand. So full of it. We knocked on their doors, and when they opened them, we shot them. Walked up to them on the street and split their stomachs wide. pulled up beside them and let loose full auto on their limos. It wasn't anything as complicated as orchestrated. I executed. And my uncle named me his successor for it. The Blue Bloods weren't even able to put up a fight. They were worried about handshake events and social media perception. Thought that their friends in high places would be there when they needed them. Thought they had already won. So how'd you get away with it? Good timing. No one notices a leaky faucet in a downpour. This is right before the Red Decade got underway. And once the borders started locking up, there was no chance of reinforcements. We never saw it coming. We didn't know there was a bubble. We didn't think things would get that bad. That's what they always say. The losers. The scapegoats paraded in front of the courts and cameras to meekly reassure the nation audience that no, you couldn't have done anything. You did everything right. So did we. We're all victims of uncontrollable market forces here. Stale bread for a piss-poor circus. With a pity party instead of proper gladiators. I saw the signs. But more importantly, I didn't ignore them. Droughts from heaven, no grain in the storehouses. There'd only be room for one family of thieves in this city, and I made sure it was mine. Last call, all aboard. And everything you've built since, Renogen, Aurea Holdings, the legitimate half you're so proud of, that was the easy part, actually. Reprivatizing an industry is tricky business. How do you break up a state-controlled monopoly into a healthy, diverse, and competitive private marketplace? How? Do you know? I'll let you know if they ever pull it off. The shit show they did go with was easily gamed. Sprinkle some cash in the right bureaucrats' pockets, and we were able to snap up entire economies wholesale. We being the neobility, if that's the term you prefer. Adonai, why is he confessing? He's not confessing, Sarah. This is bragging. Mr. Ikaria, I'm not looking to take up too much of your time, but perhaps you could help me understand something. The inciting incident, as they say. In screenwriting. They say it elsewhere too, probably. A year ago, you extended an olive branch to the Blue Bloods over Nirvana. Was it genuine? My curiosity was genuine. But not your financing. Is that why it fell apart? Why Makoto was attacked? It fell apart because those first gens and young bloods of theirs are hot-headed idiots who can't follow orders. But I expected as much. That's why I ordered my Hound to be present, on standby. But he didn't assassinate anyone that day, did he? No. Instead, Sosuke stepped in front of a blade that was headed for Makoto, and he's been guarding the boy with his life ever since. Was that your order as well? My order? Yes. Not my idea. But I'm the patriarch, not a dictator. If my sweet siblings and darling nieces and nephews make an earnest request, who am I to refuse? You had to be pressured into letting Sosuke guard Makoto. Weren't you concerned about Makoto's safety? Of course I was. I just know the best place for the queen is on the attack, not hopping around the king's sides blocking checks. Hey, chess metaphor, help me out. Any piece can sacrifice themselves, but there's only one queen, and she has by far the most mobility. It is better to keep her out in the open, ideally, near the center of the field where she can attack freely, at least assuming you subscribe to... Okay, I got it. But here's the question. Why have the Blue Bloods kept trying to capture Makoto for over a year now? Because of some hot-tempered idiots? What's your answer? Why do you think they would want to capture our little Makotan? His blood. Maybe his blood? If they were literally out for Makoto's blood, they'd want a steady supply. Mireille suggested they'd try for an arranged marriage down the line, but Kim didn't seem interested in any of the sort. Just revenge? Blue Bloods aren't lacking in motives for revenge. A bloody culling forward, followed by 3 decades of humiliation, is more than enough. But the most fitting revenge would involve them killing Makoto, not taking him captive. And while I can imagine plenty of ways to extract revenge from a living subject, gangs have to maintain a balance between being feared and being tolerated. If the Blue Bloods proudly torture a child to death, they'd have run out of the lower wards by their own constituents. Ransom. Took Makoto down. They could extort Ikuria for the king's ransom. Once, after Ikuria would make them pay. Yeah, it's not it. Even if the price tag were big enough to ease all the Blue Bloods' woes, the resulting gang war would drain the coffers all the same. People can easily kill for money, but for them to take Makoto hostage... Okay, yeah, so it's not that. It's just no reason. They want Sosuke. Well, they wouldn't want to capture Makoto. They don't. A certain mama said as much to my face. They'd much rather kill your sole heir than capture him. That's what I'd do, if they had any heirs left. But then, why keep attacking Makoto, if not to capture or kill him? Their goal's never been Makoto. It's just that every time they've gone after their goal, Makoto's been there. You mean... Put another way, the purpose of an operation is what the operation accomplishes. They've been trying to capture Sosuke for over a year. The other day, they finally succeeded. You think those idiot punks wanted to take my Hound alive? I don't think. I know, because that's literally what they did. They captured Sosuke and brought him down to the lower wards to torture him. Idiots. If they don't talk after the third, they'll never talk at all. The third what? It wasn't just any Blue Bloods that tortured him. It was the pod led by a young blood named Creek. Young, old, bound by blood or water, they're all the same scum. As you say, but I've learned that there are some pretty big ideological rifts among that scum. The young bloods captured him, no doubt, on Oldguard orders, but just as an hour ago, an Oldguard was asking after Sosuke's health. They didn't want him harmed. A generous interpretation. I'm guessing the young bloods knew that, but they tortured him anyway. Probably because they wanted to know why they've been repeatedly ordered to capture him. Out with it. What would they want? What would they want with my Hound? Why would they want my Hound? That's fair. What the Blue Bloods want, ultimately, is simple. So simple that my android can answer this one. I can? What do the Blue Bloods need right now, more than anything? A lot of money. Without which they can't invest in legalized nirvana. Such a shame that... But we'll be happy to pick it up where they left off. So at a time where they need money, they're throwing their young bloods at capturing Sosuke. Ergo, capturing Sosuke must open a path for them to get their hands on lots of cash. My. I look away for a few days and suddenly my Hound skyrocketed in value. Who do I have to thank? Who raised the price on this head to such a degree? What about Sosuke makes him so valuable? His blood. Who raised the price on Sosuke's head? I think he's the little prince. Or the little lord. Whatever the hell they call him. Yeah? You did. 30 years ago. You made him irreplaceable. When you killed everyone else who shares a drop of his blood. Ooh. He is the little lord, isn't he? Sosuke's the little lord? Last descendants of the Blue Bloods' ruling families, and the only person on Earth who can get them back their fortunes. Hell of a shot in the dark. You gonna deny it? Sarah, when did the attack supposedly on Makoto begin? About a year ago. What else happened a year ago? The meeting between the Blue Bloods and the Ikuria that fell into chaos. Makoto made it out without a scratch, but only because Sosuke stepped in front of a blade for him. I can assume that Sosuke is an impressive martial artist, with very well-defined pectorals and collarbones. But even he must have left blood on the floor that day. Yeah, he bled that day, but it's not as if he bled blue. You telling me the Oldguard could just smell the resemblance? They didn't need intuition or guesswork. Their private security organization, Sinus, is in the business of securing crime scenes, cleaning them up, and performing paternity tests. Could have been a whim. Could have been that they were hoping to match him to DNA left at other Hound attacks. Who knows? But I would pay good money to have been a fly on their wall when they saw the results. His reaction to this information is not very strong. That's a lot. That's to be expected. I've just told him a bunch of information that he already knew. He already knew Sosuke was the little lord? That chess metaphor you used a minute ago might have sounded like solid reasoning if I actually played. Unfortunately for you, I find the game boring. So it struck me as very odd that a grandfather like you, equal parts doting and calculating, would ever place their heir's safety below concerns as vague as optimal play. You didn't object to Sosuke guarding Makoto because you wanted to keep your Hound. You just couldn't convince the rest of the house that it was a bad idea without revealing who Sosuke really is. If he knew Sosuke was the real target and would keep getting attacked, then having him guard Makoto would actually be putting Makoto in danger. You know, bonsai. They look like miniature trees, but they aren't. They're shrubs. You condition it to look like a miniature tree by pruning it daily until it stops trying to grow into what it's meant to be, and instead lives as what you want it to be. Took the Blue Bloods 30 years to figure out my scheme, and you solved it in, 48 hours? You deserve a toast. Now, I wish that sake was in the storeroom. Instead, as a reward for your effort, I'll give you a story. You know what? Maybe I'll leave it there. I think that's it for my recording. I'm not sure if we're going to go straight to the trial after this, the next episode, but I'll take that chance. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one, and we're going to get a nice little story on how we got our little lord in the Korea. See you around.